All right. Well, thanks for tuning in and checking this out. First of all, thank you. My sabbatical was amazing, a great experience, a great season for me, and for YFC and for my family. So, a lot of blessings all the way around. I'll start with sharing just a few goals that I had at the start of my sabbatical. One is that by the end of the sabbatical, I would have grown closer to Jesus. Number two, spend quality time with my family. Three, rest and just slow down my pace. And then number four, that I would just take a break from all things YFC. And I praise God that all four of those were accomplished. So that's pretty cool. What did God teach me? Multiple things. There's seven main things, and I won't take too long on each one. I don't want to bore you. So number one, main thing God taught me is my identity, and just that it was a little bit screwed up, and that my identity is not YFC. My identity is not executive director at YFC first, and then loved by God way down the list. But it's that I am loved, and so I base my life on doing, on getting, achieving, performing, right? And there's a verse in 1 Samuel that says, "But the Lord looks at the heart," just speaking to the identity there. And so my identity shapes who I am. And so instead of being a child of God first, I'm the husband, dad, the YFC executive director. I'm liked by people, just looking to the wrong things for my spiritual stability and foundation. And so that was adjusted so that I would get my identity straight from Jesus instead of other things. There's a quote from a book that I read. I'm going to share a few quotes from this book. The book is called Lead by Paul David Tripp. And he says in there, and as Jesus talking, he says, "I've called you to my service, not because you are able, but because I am. Rest your heart on my grace and don't look elsewhere for what only I can give you." And so, the Lord just spoke to me about my identity in that. The second thing is achievement. And that I feel satisfied and fulfilled when I achieve things. I'm an achiever, especially at YFC, right? Got a list, I'm going to crank it all out. And that's fine, and it's actually great to achieve things. And it's not a sin, but it is a sin when I do it for the wrong reasons, or it begins to replace other things that should be at the top of my list. I'm reminding myself that, and this is a daily thing, I'm reminding myself daily that God does not love me more because of the things I am doing in my life, or specifically at YFC. I'm not defined by that. And so the things that I achieve don't grant me more love from Jesus. And just that mindset of, okay, if I perform well, if I do this, this, and this, then I'll be loved. And that's just not true. It's not true of God. And he loves me. And nothing I do or don't do will make him love me any less. And I truly thank God for that. So again, going back to that book, Lead, by Paul David Tripp, he says in it, "Could it be in your leadership community that there are signs that the glory of achievement has begun to replace the glory of God as the most powerful motivator in the hearts of your leadership community and the way you plan, assess, and do your work?" And I was convicted by that. The glory of achievement replacing the glory of God. And so, just, confessing that to Jesus. And this will be kind of a constant battle that I'll continue to give over to the Lord. Number three, learned a lot about control. I tend to be a control freak, which maybe, I don't know, some of you know or picked up on. So delegating authority over all of my duties, right? Decision-making, tasks going on, projects coming up. It's pretty scary to the control freak inside of me. And so a few weeks in, when I was finally able to stop thinking about YFC, it probably took a week or 10 days to fully get to that place. But, I thought I was giving up control to my team at YFC, the staff, which I was. It's a big part of it. But in reality, I was just releasing control, giving control back to God. And so I realized God does not need me at YFC for him to work, right? While I was gone, God's still working. He's still making a difference in young people's lives. It's his work. And so for me to just give up control and say, yeah, God, this is all yours. It's not mine. A really healthy thing for me to learn at this point in my leadership. Next one, number 4, doing God's work my way. Doing God's work my way. So question, is it possible that I have been doing the right thing, right? Ministry, the calling that God's placed in my life, doing the right thing the wrong way? And I'd say, yeah, definitely. In Luke, Jesus says, the story of Mary and Martha, he says, Martha, my beloved Martha, why are you upset and troubled, pulled away by all these many distractions? Mary has discovered the one most important by choosing to sit at my feet. She is undistracted, and I won't take this privilege from her. That's too good. My life has been so rushed, busy, and maybe yours too, ignoring God in the daily, burdened by stress, by troubles, by distractions, right? And I love that Jesus says the most important thing is to just sit at his feet, to be undistracted, and it's a privilege, and it's not going to be taken away. So my time with the Lord is a blessing, is a privilege, and I need to do more of it. And that's one of my goals coming out of sabbatical. So it's kind of funny that, right, I can be so busy doing ministry work for Jesus that I neglect to slow down and spend time with him. A sad but true reality there. So that's a check for me. Levi Lusko, he's a pastor in Montana, and he said in a video that I watched, he said, when what you're doing for God is not fueled by time with God, you'll start to act like your God. I'm going to say it one more time. When what you're doing for God is not fueled by time with God, you'll start to act like your God. Convicting, doing God's work my way. And so thank God he's correcting me on that. The next one is shepherding, is something that I learned. And God has trusted me to shepherd his people, and that's a big deal. It's a blessing. It's an honor. And I'm humbled by that. And so I'm just, continuing to pray that, God, would you just remind me of this holy calling that you've placed on my life to be a shepherd, and not just in YFC, but to my family, to my friends, to my church group, right? Shepherding in a few different ways, and making sure that I have that focus. 1 Peter 5:2-4 says, care for the flock that God has entrusted to you. Watch over it willingly, not grudgingly, not for what you will get out of it, but because you are eager to serve God. Don't lord it over the people assigned to your care, but lead them by your own good example. And when the great shepherd appears, you will receive a crown of never-ending glory and honor. So Jesus, help me to be shepherded by you so I can shepherd others. Got 2 more left. The next one is just changing my reliance. Won't take a lot of time on this one, but just being self-reliant instead of Jesus-reliant. Being so self-reliant that I actually took what belonged to God, which is all of YFC, right? And viewed it as belonging to me. And so, this can go back to my stress, anxiety, fear, need for control, all of those things. I'm was failing to give it to Jesus, as I was thinking everything relied on me. I'm self-reliant, but it's all God's, and I can rely on him to help me do what needs to be done. Quote from Paul David Tripp again in that book, Lead. He says, ministry leaders are given way too much credit for the results of our ministry, and we should all resist it. Ministry success is a testament to who God is and what he is willing to do through us by grace. We have no ability whatsoever to control all the things that need controlled for ministry success. Ouch. Good reminder for me to trust the one that it's already his anyway. lastly is realizing I am not a big deal. Hopefully you all knew that already, but I learned that for myself. Right, thinking that Jesus needs me to accomplish plans in YFC. And it's just not true, right? He chooses to use me, and that's a blessing and an honor. But in my desire for success, for growth, for people pleasing, right, popularity, I've forgotten that it's actually all about God and not about what I'm doing. And so thankfully, right, God's given me grace every day as I continue to figure out that I'm not a big deal. It's really humbling to leave a work that you really care about, for me, YFC, for 2 months, and you come back and you realize, wow, they don't need me. Things go on without me, and the staff did fantastic. To realize, yeah, I'm not a big deal. God's going to work without me, and he chooses to use me when I'm here, which is awesome, but I am not a big deal. It's very humbling to be in that position. So in Luke, Jesus responds to the 70 that were sent out, and they're really excited, right, about their authority over evil and all these things. And Luke 10:20, Jesus says, don't rejoice in that, right? But here's the thing to rejoice about. Rejoice that your names are written in heaven, right, in the book of life. And so don't rejoice over, well, mainly, the top. Don't rejoice that souls were won or disciples were made or a new ministry site was launched in a new city for us. But there's something greater than all of those things that are great, but even greater to rejoice in the fact that there's something better than success or ministry success or the achievement of great things. That your name is written in heaven. It's better than all the material and spiritual prosperity, right, we could ever experience, but that my name is written in heaven. Your name is written in heaven. So never get over that. It's a huge deal that my name, your name, is in the book of life. And there's a quote from a book again. It says, my greatest success has already happened. I'm loved. Jesus welcomes me. I have nothing left to prove. And so I'll close with that. Thank you for the support that you've shown me in my journey. Thank you for the gift of sabbatical. Thank you, Jesus, for things that you taught me. Personal goal coming back is every single morning I will spend time with Jesus, and that's going to shape my daily identity. It's going to shape my daily behaviors and change the way that I lead. Professional, keep empowering my team more deeply, and not just delegating tasks, but delegating authority and ownership into key projects, key decisions. So excited to see where that's going to take us as a chapter. Thanks for being a blessing. Thank you for sabbatical, and thanks for watching this video.